Good
While I am
afternoon.
Good
I am
getting my
afternoon,
Justine
screen in
Wells
Ignite.
with
place.
Justine Peterson Presents Ignite Illinois. And we are on our last webinar for this round. Next round will start next Wednesday. But today will be, oh, look at that. Yeah, this will be a great time to put some party
Reactions.
in the
It
thing.
is.
We're having a great time here, learning a lot of stuff. But today we will learn something so very important, and that is scaling your business. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Nate.
All right. Thank you so much, Yolanda. What a blessing to see all of you. And so I was asked before we started, is my backdrop a Zoom backdrop? Am I in my office or am I at a real location that is tropical? Put it in the chat or share what your thoughts are. Let's take a poll. Am I just sitting in my office?
It
Is
looks like a
this just
picture that you uploaded.
Yeah, it could be a picture, uploaded background. Office. Let me see here if I can get these chats. Let's get this conversation going. Yeah, I mean, it just could very well be Nate is just sitting in his office today, and that tropical look might just be just a feel, right? Just how he feels right now. He feels tropical. I usually do that. You do. For those of you who know me, I will have a cool backdrop just to kind of remind me of places I would want to go. Okay, we've got a few answers here. We got office, Florida. Interesting. Outside. Okay, well, only one way to know for sure. I'm gonna have to grab my camera and show you where I am. So is it an office? Let's see if I can- It's for real. I am not in my office. You can't, it's really bright out there.
Yeah, that's
So
beautiful.
yeah, I am actually, Ann had it right. I am in sunny Florida in Walt Disney World. My son had a trip planned, and I flew out to visit with him and do my work from here remotely. Took my laptop, and I think that's a really appropriate start to the conversation around scaling our business, so that we have the resources and the tools, so that our business doesn't run us. We run our business. And I've been at it for 30 years, and I haven't always been able to do this, but that's important. It's important to be able to break away. One thing about entrepreneurship is that we buy our time back through the labor and the challenges we face as business leaders. So this model to scale is an important one. It's important to understand. Okay, do I stay small, keep it all, and just do things myself, or do I scale beyond myself? And just by either maybe in the chat or just unmuting. Are you currently a solo entrepreneur? Do you have employees, contractors? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Love to start this conversation as I get this PowerPoint rolling, and we have some conversation around what it means to scale smart, to go from a solo operator or just a few people to really a thriving team in your business. So this is all part of the journey, if you will, as business leaders. And we really want to build systems. We want to build system structures that let our business run in some ways without us doing all the things. When I first started my business, like most of you, I was the operator. I did it all. And it was just me. I was solo. And then eventually you start growing. You do good work. People want to do business with you. And then of course, then there's more work that you can do. And so when I first started my check cashing business back in 1995, it was check cashing, money orders, lotto. We bought jewelry, gold, diamonds. We did taxes too, and I even sold beepers out of there. Remember the beepers? Everybody remember the beepers? Young folks, they don't know what those beepers are. The cell phone, the big brick cell phones. You remember those days? Big Motorola's with the big cases and all that. That was me. That was me. And eventually I broke those things out, and we quit doing a lot of those services. We just focused on tax work and focused on cell phones and page. I created two businesses: the Income Tax Center and Skylink Communications. And I had folks. I had some employees in each one, and I began to scale. And so I began to work beyond myself and really begin to manage and lead. And for us, each of us, we face this dilemma eventually. The first part is like, I just want customers, right? You want customers and you hope that you can have just enough customers to pay the bills. And eventually you have more customers than than you can handle. And so then what happens? Well, then I gotta bring people, right? I got to bring people. And as we bring more people in, of course, that comes with another set of challenges we face as business leaders. How do we effectively scale the business? And so today we're going to really focus on practical application for this. You may be in a season to where you've already moved, as some of the notes have said in the chat, from solo to having employees. Some of this may be a review in some ways, affirmation and new information, or maybe ways to do things better, even in your own journey as you're scaling with employees. So definitely take good notes and focus on the conversation because we're really going to go deep. I did want to notate that I love Michael Gerber's book called The E-Myth and The E-Myth Revisited. I would recommend that book for you to really dive into this journey, if you will, of scaling your business. And we're going to talk about some of the concepts that he has in his book as well as some others. I just think that they're really relevant and helpful for us as business leaders. And I've been at this 30 years. And now, we're blessed to have, oh gosh, 25 plus folks on the team, whether they're part-time, seasonal, or full-time. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing to continue to serve and scale and grow. So everybody's at a different stage of their journey. And so I really want to start with these principles here that we're going to talk about during this time together. Uh, Different roles in a business, some of the traps of really just trying to wear all these hats. And I know I've done it. I'm sure many of you have done it. Um, Systemizing, delegating, and really that roadmap for scaling. So I want to start with the really focus on what roles do we have? Well, before we do that, I'm going to talk about the failing businesses. A lot of businesses fail. Of course, over 80% fail. And here's the thing about businesses as leaders: most owners, we're great technicians, but we're poor managers. We can do the production work. That's the work that got us going. That's the work that made us relevant in the marketplace. How many of us are technicians? Maybe in the chat, just put a yes or a me in the chat. In other words, you know how to do the technical work. You can make the widget. All right. For me, I knew how to do taxes, and I served folks well with tax preparation. I was diligent about it, and I wanted to do great work. I wanted to save people money on taxes. And so in that, what happened? Well, we got more clients, and I built myself a job. Really not a business. I built myself a job, and I got trapped in that because then I was just constantly doing that work, and I got caught up in it, and I didn't really know how to scale and grow beyond myself. And you know, at some point I realized, man, I need to create a business that works without me. Now, have I arrived? It's still a work in progress, but on the fact that I'm able to come down here, my team's like, go spend some time with your son, and we got this, right? Hey, that's who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want a team that can handle the work that's necessary, and that way you can do other things and you can lead and you can manage and you can help the company grow. And if you can leave on a dime, I left with, like, I literally left, said I was going to leave Monday night. I was on an airplane flight. And so to be able to do that and that your business continues to not skip a beat, that's important, right? That's that freedom we're talking about. However, at the same time, we have to know where we stand in our business. And so you're probably one of these three things. You're probably either a technician, you love the work, you love the output, whether it's and put in there, if you do technical work, what is the technical work you do in your business? What's the technician work that you do? Like I was saying, for me, it was taxes. And then eventually I grew to tax planning and then business planning, and I earned my MBA and then my PhD in business and entrepreneurial leadership. So I spent so much of my time, now more than any time, between helping the teams to do great work and then also to help our business owners and consult them and help them to run thriving businesses. That's my technical work. That's the technician in me. Of course, I just wrote my own book called Radical Purpose on business leadership. And so that's a technical work. That's me, the technician, pouring in. What's your technical work? Put it in the chat if you can. What work do you do as a technician? And then there's the manager. That's the next step in the business. You organize, you control the work, you plan, you delegate, you staff, you command, you control. That's the manager role. And sometimes we are managers as well. We wear that hat too. And then there's another hat, the entrepreneur. That's the one who dreams. That's the one who innovates. That's the one who thinks about all the possibilities in the future. What can be done? And part of the problem is the challenge is that we may hold any one of these three, maybe all three, but we're not really able to function well. Maybe we are really good at management. Maybe we're really good at technical work. Maybe we're really good at our entrepreneurial work, and we don't really know where we should be focused on. Well, that's part of this whole scale conversation, because as we begin to scale, understand that we have to understand first, as a leader, as a business leader, ask yourself this first question, friends. Where am I spending my time? Where am I investing my time? Now, I don't know if any of you use a calendar, but I use a calendar for everything. A calendar shows all my work, and that calendar tracks my weekly percentages. How much is it in technical work? How much is it in management? How much is it envisioning the future? I would encourage you to start there. Start there and do an inventory. Do an inventory over the last month. Look at your calendar. If you're not using your calendar, start using it and track that. Track those percentages. It's really important to track the percentages, because then you'll have data. And here's the thing, data is a measurement. And there's a saying, you can't manage what you can't measure. You can't manage what you can't measure. So we all need to have data recorded. So doing that is a really healthy exercise. And then once you've done that, the next step is to have areas that you are ready to delegate or even systemize. You see, unless we're able to delegate and systemize, we're never going to be able to scale effectively. I know it sounds elementary and it sounds basic, but we have to say it. We have to say it because it's important to speak it out and start taking steps toward it. Because otherwise, all we're going to do is be on this hamster wheel for the rest of our lives. And the business is going to run us instead of us running our business. And then understanding, why are we doing this? Because I need to create some margin, some space for entrepreneurial thinking. And honestly, guys, one thing we have to do is also give ourselves permission to do this as business leaders. Give yourself permission, because sometimes we feel guilty because we're not producing, or we're not out there, driving revenue or whatnot because we're busy. We need to do that. We need to create the margin so that we can think as entrepreneurs and think about the future to help the company grow. And we can't do that if we don't give ourselves any margin. So officially, if you haven't been doing that, you have permission. Dr. Nate says you have permission. Not only permission, you have to do it, because the entrepreneurial thinking is visioning. And the old proverb 29:18 says this: without vision, the people perish. You have to have a vision of the future, where we're going, not just head on our ground and grinding it out. So once we've identified that, the next step is to really understand, hey, where am I moving out of each area? So if this is you, I want you to just, maybe if you can't put a yes in the chat, or stage one, solo entrepreneur. You wear every hat: sales, service, admin, bookkeeping, and this is dangerous. Challenges, burnout, inconsistency, and bottlenecks are gonna become of that. So, and I know for my own self, when I've done all that, I've bordered on burnout, and not only that, but the work quality struggles. In fact, you can almost unequivocally identify that your quality of work can decrease. You can do a lot of things and nothing well. So we want to document what we do well, and then start to standardize it. So one of the steps I want you to take is document what you do well. And so then once we do that, we can begin to work on our stage two, which is to build some systems so that we work on our business and not in it. There's a difference. Working on our business and not in it. In other words, in it is like day to day. I'm doing the production work. I'm doing the widget. I'm building the widget. On your business is designing, identifying processes, systems, people. That's the difference. And that's the scale model. Because systems, thank you, April, systems create predictability and freedom. If we don't have systems in place, we're not gonna be able to scale. In fact, and even with how the predictability and the freedom work, that it's been said that people don't fail, processes do. So if people are failing in your organization, it's likely a process issue, not a people issue. You say, Nate, well, what if I hired somebody and they're not doing great work? Well, that's a process issue because the hiring process has a flaw in it to where you were not able to identify whether or not they were a best fit for the organization, right? Hey, I'm not saying it's you, me too. Like I had to let someone go just last week because the quality of work was average. And man, I thought I did all the things in terms of the process to vet this individual. However, it wasn't until they were on site, we were doing some test work on some returns, and I realized, man, it's not a fit. We can't have average. We have to have excellence. So I had to let that go. But because there was a flaw in the process, there was a flaw in that predictability of whether or not this person is going to be a fit. Of course, then what do you have? You have money that's tied into that piece. You have time of all the onboarding, time of the offboarding, all the review, all this, so you have a lot of cost involved from not having a system that is functional. So it's not people that fail, it's processes. And so what core systems do we have? We got marketing, operations, finance, our people systems. So important to document the process, even if it's simple. If we're going to scale, we have to document the simplest of steps. Like I'm at Disney World right now. This place, as Walt Disney had said, actually, did a lot of my research when I was working my doctorate on Walt Disney. I studied him, Milton Hershey, and Steve Jobs, and their vision and visionary leadership. And he was a big process system person, and he knew, what business are we in? We're in the happiness business. We're selling happiness. Of course, this is called the happiest place on earth. Even to this day, they document every single little process, and so that you get the same consistent experience no matter who you interact with. And that we call that touch point. You want to have excellence in the experience with every touch point. And so back to documenting the process, the very simple stuff, so that the process then becomes the boundary and the barrier, not having to go back to you every single time that there's a question. All right. So how do we do that? How do we document? There's a stage three, document and delegate. Because it can seem overwhelming. Like, how do we do that? Well, start small. One process, just what's one process I can create a checklist? I can create a standard operating procedure. I can create a template. And this is really important because then that becomes the living, breathing order of steps. Control, order, perfection. That's the journey. Control macro. In other words, the experience that you're creating. Create order and lead to perfection, or if you will, you say perfection is always fleeting. Let's call it harmony. Let's call it completeness. Let's call it the ability to serve well. And then what happens with your team? Your team gets trained through written processes, not memory. We're doing a disservice as leaders, business leaders of our team, and I've been guilty of it. If we just say, hey, here's what I'm going to tell you, try to remember all this stuff. Well, if you've been doing it for years, how are they going to remember right away? And by the way, everybody remembers things differently. They may hear you say one thing, they may not hear you say another. So then you have inconsistencies. And then various team members may have trouble as well. And then you see this snowball effect because then things don't get done right. And then there's all kinds of bottlenecks and hiccups and problems and frustrations. And we want to eliminate all those things because that's not how healthy organizations grow. So then once you've done that, then freedom. You get freedom. You get freedom in your role. Others get freedom in their roles because you have clarity in the process and the system, and you have repeatability. Because that repeatability means there's a consistency in the experience. By the way, it's not just the customer experience that matters. In fact, that's a lagging experience. It's the team's experience. As you scale with the team. So think about like a sporting team. Think about a football team. They've got three different segments. They've got the offense, defense, and special teams. Like that whole team has to work together cohesively with clarity, repeatability through written processes. Imagine if a football team didn't have a playbook. They say, hey guys, remember that play we just talked about last week? I know we didn't write it down, but let's just try to make that work. Do you think that they would win the championship? Do you think that they would win the Super Bowl? Or do you think they would be in last place? I would say they'd be in last place or very close to it unless something was up. That's not how you win. So taken out of that playbook, if we're going to win championships, if we're gonna get to the end zone, first we have to create an experience that works for our team, that everybody's playing on the same playbook. All right. Stage 4. Design your future org chart. So what's an org chart? It's an organizational chart. And really it's just a drawing out of the company structure. So I don't know how many people each of you have, different sizes, but we'll just say 10. If you're going to grow to your organization to 10 people, and some of you may already have 10 people, maybe not. And then you begin to assign roles. What are the necessary roles? And by the way, you don't have to do this alone. You can do this with AI. We were talking about AI earlier. It's a great resource, great tool to assist you in that way and say, hey, look, I want to draw up an org chart for, your business. Name your business. Say you're in the health and wellness field, and you're very specific. And you say, I want an org chart for 10 employees, X revenue, number of clients, et cetera. It'll help you draw up the org chart, and then holes and barriers and everything else in the org chart. And then the next step, once that org chart's done, put your name in all the boxes. Of course, if that's where you are. If they're capable people in different boxes, then put them in it. But then what you want to do is you want to gradually, and I mean gradually, based on the resources available and the timing and whatnot, replace yourself with capable people. That's the goal. Keep replacing yourself with capable people. And you know where your weaknesses are, your blind spots are. Those are the people you want to hire first, right? So I love to have conversations with potential clients and just have a conversation on where it might go. Well, if I love to do that, that's the role that I don't necessarily need to outsource that right now. I'm good at it. I love to do it. And maybe it's operations. I may need an operations person who can do day-to-day management, check all the different things. Knowing where your genius is and knowing where you're weak in, then you can begin to find those roles. And then from there, once we've done that, well, we're going to start bringing people on. We're going to hire for values, train for skill. That's important. So, make sure for us, we have a mission, vision, and value statement, and we live it. And so, as in drawing up your business planning, make sure you have a clear set of core values. Our four core values are: care extraordinarily, think innovatively, walk credibly, grow purposefully. Those are our four core values. If you don't ascribe to those core values, I can't hire you. Those are boundaries and borders. If you don't care extraordinarily, it's a non-negotiable. You're not joining this team. And then if there are certain skills, now granted, at our level of organization, I want them to have a lot of base skills, right? I want them to have generally credentialed and, been doing this for a minimum of 10 to 20 years. But there are other skills they're learning at the same time. However, those values, I can teach skills, values, not so much, right? Either you do value or you don't value, or values take a lot longer to assimilate, to change values. Not that people don't change. I've changed over the years, but you don't want people coming in who don't share your values, because that's a train wreck in the organization, and it's only going to create problems, more frustrations, and people are going to look at you and say, hey, you're the gatekeeper. You're the one who's supposed to keep this company together and playing the same game with the same goal. And you bring in people in who don't share those values, and that's not going to help us at all. So it's up to us to be the sentinel of our organization. And then from there, we create these onboarding using documented processes, set these performance expectations. By the way, We don't have to do this alone. We can get help, whether from individuals or again from different sources, the online AI sources. And then train, and more train. And as we scale, we have to have consistency. Make sure that we've got time to help people. Hey, do you need to learn this system, this process, this way of what we're doing? By the way, a lot of your training can be automated. Record a video. There's something called Google Classroom if you have Google G Suite, or there's a number of things. Loom, LOM. You can record a video of a training of. I've got one of our mission, vision, values that our new hires, when they first start, they go through that training. They watch the videos. I explain that. I only had to do it once because then it's done, and then they can do that. So these trainings can be just once, and they don't all have to be you. They can be somebody else in the organization who knows and who owns this particular process or role. So that's a clarity. So you're creating your own university in your company. That's awesome. And then we move to stage 6. You begin to lead as the entrepreneur. You shift your role from doing to leading. You set metrics, you hold leadership meetings, and then you ask, what does the business need from me moving forward? So like right now, today, I'm leading. I'm leading from afar, helping the team to make wise choices, helping to make sure that they've got the resources they need to thrive, clearing up any bottlenecks as far as communication. And they come to me for when they're maybe struggling or they need some advice or they need some help and better understanding how to make something move forward. That's the shift. Do I still do some production work? Yes. Do I still do some review? Yes. And at some point, perhaps that begins to reduce itself. However, the most important role I have right now is leading the team. And that's part of the scale model. And that's not easy. And I don't do it all the time. And sometimes I pull back and I've got to jump in to do production work or to jump in and help. And that's understandable. Eventually, maybe, with more people and having all those pieces in place, I won't have to do that anymore, right? It's a journey. So then what do? Then we set those metrics. We call them KPIs, key performance indicators for system health. That's what you're doing. Think of it like this. You're a physician of the business and you go in, you do a health checkup for your business. What are all the things that ail your business? And create metrics for that. Now, again, this might feel overwhelming for some. Like, Nate, I don't have time for that. I've got so much to do. Well, again, that's why we start not in stage 6, we start in stage 1. And you work your way. It could be years before this comes about. You get to this point, but you got to start somewhere. And you got to see the big picture. You got to see how all this unfolds for you to buy your time back. For you to buy your time back. You may say, Nate, I love what I'm doing. I love the work I'm doing. I don't want to buy my time back. That's totally cool. At least if you ever did want to do that, you'd have a pathway to it. And then hold regular meetings. I say weekly, but and not to make a meeting. People hate meetings. A lot of people hate meetings. Not to make the meeting a meeting just to be a meeting. Make it a time where it's consecrated to the very best of the organization. Hey, let's collaborate on how we can create an experience and continue to devise an experience and be a part of an experience that is so attractive, so worthwhile, so achievable that people can't help but want to contribute to this time together. And then from there, reevaluate. Okay, business, what are the priorities for me this week, this month, this year? What does it need for me? See, then you begin to lead. You begin to lead as that entrepreneur, and you begin to scale effectively. So here's some key scaling metrics, right? So just for your own perusal, one of the number one is client retention, satisfaction. Are people happy? Are they constantly putting fires out? Are you? And here's another one. It's not on this list, but client retention, satisfaction, and advocacy. Your referrals. Your raving fans. If people are saying, "Boy, I have to." Is it okay? Are you taking new clients? Because I want to refer you. I just had an email come across that I just read from one of our clients, and it was an introduction from their favorite client. I love this. Their favorite client, and they want to trust us with their favorite client. Wow, What a great metric for scaling. And even it was such a warm message. It was like, hey, I want you to meet Nate and his team. And Nate is a tax saving savant were the exact words. And I don't know if that's true or not, but hey, that's how they see us. And it's such an honor to be able to scale and serve with that client advocacy, right? So those are the metrics. Revenue per team member. This is very important. MRR, right? Monthly recurring revenue for those folks who are producing for us. How much is it? How much revenue are producing? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7x of their income, right? Those are important metrics. Systems efficiency. Are people completing their tasks for their role on time? Are there there's a lot of inefficiencies in that? And then of course your owner time you're spent on strategy versus operations. Are you spending enough time or investing enough time on strategy and growing the company as well as your operation model? All right. So here's an idea, and again, the template is a great way to put all that together. And I'm going to have a copy of this that's going to go to Yolanda, and she can get it out to you guys. So you'll have this available to you. So you got your visionary, your CEO, your operations manager, finance, accounting, sales, customer service, delivery, support. These are just some basic line items. Again, you can make the changes to it, but I just wanted to show you like some different ideas in terms of different areas of your company to think about. So here's your systemization checklist. All right. So if you want to truly systemize, and this is essential for scale, friends. Number one, you have to have a marketing system, lead generation to client conversion. All right. So then what happens? Well, operations. We have to be able to serve those needs. So go from delivery, the workflow of it, to quality control. Is this consistently an excellent experience for all our stakeholders, not just our customers? And then, of course, we got the numbers piece, finance, billing, bookkeeping, reporting, all that's a systemizing, if you will. And then the hiring, the people, the training, performance management, all that's important. And then how do we deal with technology, our customer relationship management software, our scheduling, our communication tools? All of these will have checklists in each of these areas so that we can create a system that can sustain beyond us as we scale our business. All right, here we go. This is what I would consider our self-assessment worksheet. All right. I want you to assess which role dominate your time. And if you want to put in the chat, technician, manager, entrepreneur. Which role currently dominates your time? Technician, manager, entrepreneur. I would say for me, it's probably equal, maybe a little less on technician. Yeah. I would say entrepreneur, maybe 40% manager, 40% technician, 20%. That's me. How about you? How about you? Think about that. Then ask yourself, what 3 tasks can you delegate or automate this month? So here we are. We're into October for this month, or you can say November. Just 3 tasks you can automate or delegate. And then what processes do you want to systematize first? Maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's client intake. Maybe it's managing the team. Any one of those things. And then ask yourself this. It's so important. April, thanks. I know, right? All of it. What will success look like in 90 days? What would that look like for you? 90 days to 90 days. So every quarter, like, okay, what's a measurement of success for me in the next 90 days? Maybe it's simple. Maybe it's for me, like, okay, 90 days, I want to be able to take a week every 90 days or every 30 days and be somewhere else and work from somewhere else and just be away where I can focus on the visioning of the company, long-term leadership, and planning a whole week. That's me. How about you? How about you? Here's the thing, guys. We have the ability and the power and the resources to do this. We just have to believe and take steps, take action items. All right. So next step. Here's our action plan. Here we go. Number one, pick one process to document this week. Just one. That's your homework. One process. And then create your 10-person future org chart. And if you already have 10, make it 20. And then schedule that weekly CEO time to work on your system. Schedule the time, friends. You have permission. You need this. The company is better. And then commit. Commit to replacing yourself one role at a time. All right. So here's some reflection for us as we think about this journey. And then I want to open up for any questions or comments for a little while because I wanted to leave a little bit of space for that. Scaling. It's about systems. It's about reducing the stress levels. And you want to build a business that serves your life, not consumes it. How many people right now have a business that consumes their life? My business has been that, ebbs and flows for me. And anytime it begins to consume my life, I have to hit pause and hit reset. Thank you. Hit pause and reset. Because I love the way Michael Gerber put this. The entrepreneur is a dreamer who builds a machine that produces the dream. The entrepreneur is a dreamer who builds a machine that produces the dream. There you are. There you go. And those are some great ideas and some practice around scaling and how to effectively scale by using processes for you. And I hope I didn't do overload information. It's a lot, but I think if you picked up the book by Michael Gerber, and again I'm writing on that as well as this PowerPoint. Just focus on one thing, so you can begin to free your future, and also delegate to others, and elevate them to the best work they can possibly do. All right, what kind of comments do you have? Questions that you have about this talk? What is it? What has it got you thinking about? What's popped up in your mind? Yeah, April.
How to for us the commitment part. That's where I'm at, because you did say to replace yourself basically one position at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at. But I do need to do exactly what you just said. Step away and not take away, but step away for a moment, and to not just think about what you're doing, just how to scale it and how to be more of, so I won't have to sit down and do it all myself.
Yes, very
I'm
important.
scaling, but I need you as Justin Peterson. That's why I'm here, so I can scale it. I need like 3 or 4 more drivers.
We love it. We love it. Yeah. And that's the thing. And one thing that's helped me a lot, like, for example, I used to do the bookkeeping, and I haven't done bookkeeping in, I don't know, 10 plus years. And I thought to myself, what if I couldn't? What if I didn't know how to do it? What would be my next step? Well, I would hire great bookkeepers, right? So that's what I started doing. I started hiring great bookkeepers. So as if I didn't know how to do the job, I knew how to manage it and lead it, but I couldn't do it if I wanted to. It forces us as business owners to take that next step. Otherwise, we're just grinding, 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 grinding. And it never ends, this cycle. And you never really can grow beyond yourself, and you never really can serve more people. So now when I meet with clients, I met with a client this morning, and I still love to meet, potential new clients, because I just love to, just give them some love, and entrepreneurs, fellow business owners. And I have one, and I said, look, I always say it like this: I'm your quarterback. I'm going to make sure we get into the end zone, we'll make sure we win. But I'm going to pass the ball sometimes. I'm going to throw the ball sometimes. I might even run it in if I have to, but we're going to win together. And people understand that, okay, Nate's role isn't to hold my hand and do all the things. Nate's role is to make sure that the team works effectively by the playbook, and we win the championship together with the client. So that's really been really helpful for me, as act as if I couldn't, I wasn't a wide receiver. I wasn't a linebacker. Like, I'm not all those things. And I think it's a disservice to ourselves and our clients and our team members if we try to play all the positions. That was great, April, for sharing that. Anyone else? Any thoughts that have come up? Mark?
Yeah, so This is the second time I've really heard about creating processes. But I worked in operations for about 9 years, so I understand processes. But for some reason, when I got on my entrepreneurial journey, I stopped doing it. You know what I mean? I started thinking that I could do everything myself, which I can do a lot of it, but it's time consuming. So what I started doing, I started hiring contractors to do flooring because I'm just now opening my business. My business isn't open, so right now I can focus on inventory and finding the best inventory for the best price because that's what I'm good at. So I just decided to start hiring, um, contractors for flooring, for lighting, for things like that. So that really stuck out to me. And then the process, like I said, the processes part. Um, I saw another video where a guy was speaking on how processes change his life, and it's the processes is the consistency with the processes. So instead of
Yes.
instead of just doing it because I did it for a month. When I first heard it, I did it for a month. This was March, and it was my best month ever. Then April, something came up, and it just threw me off of my process again. So it's finding the consistency to stick with the process. So that's really me hearing it now again with you. Kind of made me go back to what I had learned before, and I'm going to implement it. Starting today.
Yeah, man, love that. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, we can never hear this enough. No matter where we are in our journey, it has to be that constant fundamental. That's what we're talking about. Fundamentals win the game, right? It's not overcomplicated. It's just like, okay, what's the basics on how to do this? And then I can grow beyond myself. Yes. Love that. All right. Who else? What other thoughts have come up that you would like to share with the group that might be helpful? Some things that you've been thinking about, or maybe some things that this conversation here has got you going on. Rachel. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you took your mic off. No, you're good. But unless you want to say something. Oh, that's good. We got a good group today. It's good. Yeah. Uh-huh. Anyone else? Anyone else? Thoughts, comments, questions? We mesmerized them, Yolanda.
I will
Uh,
I will ask a question since you
mhm.
inadvertently called it.
Yes.
Just a tip for if you're so overwhelmed with constantly putting out fires and you know that all of the things that you're talking about need to happen, but you don't know how to make the time to create the systems that need to be in place, what would be like just your top tip for how to carve out the time for it?
Yeah, great question. This is a hard thing sometimes for business owners because we never want to like take the foot off the gas. We never want to tell people, hey, we're not taking any more clients, right? That's the last thing. But sometimes I've had to tell people, hey, look, you know what? I'm not taking any clients right now, or I'm on a wait list because I got to get these things in order and I got to slow down. And you think, well, Nate, oh my goodness, well, then what happens with revenue and money and all this other stuff? Like those are hard questions and there's no real easy answer. But at the end of the day, if I'm suffocating and I have zero time to put out all the fires that need to be put out and also build the team as it needs to be built out, my business is going to fail anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's going to fail anyway. And hey, look, and I'm just telling the team and the group, like I have not always been a successful entrepreneur, right? I mean, I've started at businesses that have crashed and burned. Fortunately, the Income Tax Center has been a staple for 30 years now. But I've tried my hand at a number of different kinds of businesses, and it's like, oh my goodness, for the same reason, I was making all these I don't want to call them rookie moves, but these mistakes that kept it being successful. So in that vein, even with what we do, I mean, I've had to tell people like with our tax planning program at times, I'm like, hey, we got a wait list. Give me 90 days before we can do any work for you. And if you want to do business with us, then we'll put you in the queue because I need some margin. I need to build that margin into my day so that I can do great work. And you know what? The opposite happened with people. Instead of them saying, I don't want to do work with you, it actually the opposite happened. They're like, oh my goodness, you got a wait list? Oh, I better get on that list because shoot, I don't want to miss out on an opportunity. So it actually had the opposite effect to where we actually had more business on a wait list because people found value in it. So, and here's the other part of it. The other part of it is, we only have so many hours in a day. Like I've found myself even like, well, there's only one place you can pull time from once you're out of time, and that's sleep, right? And that's like, okay, then you're sleeping what, 6, 7, 3, 4 hours, and that's unsustainable too. So really, to put it all together, I think for us as leaders, we have to know when to hit pause, and also to set the right expectation with our customers. Even, if I tell a customer or client, look, and maybe it's not a wait list. Maybe I started getting ready to start their work, and I'm like, this is going to take this long to get done because these are the resources I have, to where I give myself enough margin to grow. People generally understand that, or if not, they'll go someplace else, right? And dealing with that in that way, I think, is a healthier way because it sets the right expectation on, and also gives me enough room so that I can keep working on the back end of scaling my operation healthy, so that my fires continue to be less and less and less. So that's some thoughts on that. If anyone else has any other thoughts, I'm happy to listen.
I agree. Time management is definitely time of the essence. It's hard to do it sometimes when you don't have a team, a full operating team behind you, but it's very manageable because if there's something that I'm gonna say me as an example, I'm very determined and I know what goals I have and I know where I'm going and where I'm heading. So of course, the time management definitely something that's key. And saying, I see that y'all said consistency is the key as well, but consistency, it matters, but the determination with the consistency is like an A and B selection.
Yeah, they all go together, don't they, April? They all go together. Consistency, time management, determination. Those are all ingredients to a delicious business, right? One that simmers like a good stew, and you're like, I got to give me some more of that. Love it. Anyone else? Anyone else? Any other thoughts? Any other comments? Any other questions? It's been good. Yolanda, it's been good. Oh, you're muted.
Yes, this has been really good. I have my notes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. And it's not that we're like everybody's trying to get away, like I'm away, right? When I hop off this call, I'm going to make some more emails. I'm going to do a little work. Then I'm going to go enjoy some time. And it's like, it's having that option and that ability to be able to do that. And your business still functioning well. It's still functioning well. And that all goes back to, again, people don't fail, processes do.
That was good. Say that one more time. People don't fail, processes do.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions? I don't think we have any more, Nate.
We did it. We did it. We this is the last one in the series. We roll up again.
I got a
Yes.
question.
Oh, he's gonna throw me a loop now.
No, not at all.
I'm just messing with you, Mark. What you got?
Hey, so do you have like a social media that I can follow or something like that?
Oh yeah, just Nate Salah, NateSalah. Yeah, it's on. Yeah, you can hit me up on. You can see me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook,
Spell it
YouTube.
again.
NateSalah.
Uh-huh.
S is in Sam, L is in Larry,
Okay.
H is in Henry. You can find me. I got a podcast on leadership, a call to leadership. You can just look up Nate Salah podcast. We do reels every week on leadership and business and so on and so forth. So definitely happy to just send it out and show the love to my fellow entrepreneurs. The more we can share, the more we can grow, the more we can serve well.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, so it's celebration time. Can we get some
Come on. Oh yes.
celebrations for
Oh yes. Coming
the
right up.
last one? Come on, y'all, put those Yes, yes. Look at the, how do you do the big ones? Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Get
Yay.
some balloons
I
up in
just,
the house. Let me see if I can find some balloons. There they are.
let's see, let's see. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Where's the balloons? Got some over there. Okay. Well, I just want to thank you guys for hanging in there for the 10 webinars. This has been a lot of great information, and I pray that it takes your business to the next level. But you guys, it's time to shift into second gear, and let's go. I can't wait till next week until when we start the webinar series over. It will be different in some ways, and you don't want to miss it. And feel free to invite someone. Just share the link with them so they can get this information as well. Nate, as always, thank you so very much for this informative information. You
Thank you,
all,
my sister.
you're welcome. You have a wonderful remainder to your day, and I will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.